Welcome to Temple Israel's Kol Nidre service. My name is Rabbi Cynthia Minster, and I have the honor of being this community's spiritual leader. I am joined on the bima today by our guest Shaliach Tzibor, Cantor Carl Jacobs. Our service is elevated by our accompanist, Christopher Hewitt, and none of this would be possible without our High Holy Day coordinator, Daniel Levy. Our guest cellist this evening is Peter Bedrosian, and our AV and live stream operator is Jordan Levy. First, some reminders. Please take a moment to put your cell phone into airplane mode. I need to ask you to take them out and put them in airplane mode to ensure that we are able to stream our services for our community members who are not able to be with us in person. Tonight, we begin to celebrate both Yom Kippur and Shabbat. We are asked to face our mortality and renew our lives in service of our highest ideals. Yom Kippur is meant to be a near-death experience. There is no certainty about how long we have left to live. This is why our tradition challenges us to live into each moment as thoroughly as possible. Traditionally, we stand during most of tonight's service. Please do not hesitate to sit down if you need to. We begin by lighting candles to welcome this holy day. After the candles are lit, Cantor Jacobs will lead us in the Shehechianu prayer to express our gratitude for reaching this day. We welcome our matriarch, Elaine Kaufman, to the Torah table to lead us in candle lighting. First, she will read the intention at the top of page 9.
The human spirit is the lamp of God, searching out what lies within us. Guided by the flame of conscience, on this sacred night we search for truth. Shine your light upon us as we strive to serve you. May we find safety in your faithful love. We light the flame of healing and forgiveness. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat v'Yom Kippurim.
Amen. One of the things most people know about Yom Kippur is that it is a day of fasting. The fast is part of how we imagine this as a day of death and rebirth, by focusing solely on our spiritual journey and abstaining from food and drink. We join with our ancestors in creating an expansive experience. But some of us are unable to fast. Cantor Jacobs and myself will both have drinks with us during the service. Please understand that we both respect the tradition and honor the commitment of you in the congregation to fast on this day. I pray we can focus inwardly today and allow ourselves to use the customs of our tradition to help ourselves live more deeply into the coming year. Ironically, the part of the Erev Yom Kippur service that everyone remembers is the part that rabbis have tried to suppress. Kol Nidre means all vows. It is a legal proclamation in Aramaic, releasing us from vows. Depending on one's interpretation of the statement, it is either a release from vows made last year or vows that will be made in the year to come. Please join me in preparing Kol Nidre on page 14. That's 14. Opening the Ark, opening ourselves. Yom Kippur, the Jewish people's festival of the soul, and Kol Nidre is the sacred portal, a night of deep emotions, a night, as the psalmist wrote, to rejoice with trembling. Please join with me. We rejoice at the sound of Kol Nidre, rhythmic words of release from vows, oaths, and promises to God we fail to keep. We tremble at the melody, music of spiritual amazement. It fills us with awe as we stand before God and Torah. We rejoice that we stand together, strengthened by community in this hour of shared weakness and humility. We tremble, for tonight we confess our flaws, admit our imperfection, and acknowledge a power far beyond our understanding. We rejoice that we can commit ourselves to great endeavors because we feel so deeply and think so nobly. We tremble, for we find that our ideals are far greater than our ability. Our promises surpass our might. We rejoice in the freedom that is Kol Nidre's true gift, the freedom to begin a new year without fear of failure, to aspire to be God's image in the world. We tremble because we are mortal. We rejoice in our gratitude for life. We rejoice with trembling and enter Kol Nidre to face our humanity. We are about to rise for the recitation of Kol Nidre. We can let this threefold recitation wash over us and simply set us into a contemplative mood. We can consider that the vows we made to ourselves in the past year will become null and void through this legal process. This is not about wiggling out of every contract or every promise to another person. This is about forgiving ourselves for not fulfilling our deepest visions. We can strengthen the bond with our souls. We can develop our relationship with the eternal. We can live into love, justice, truth, and compassion. If you are unable to stand or if it becomes uncomfortable to remain standing, please do not feel embarrassed to be seated. This year, we will honor 3 groups of people with holding our Torahs during the recitations of Kol Nidre. We invite all of them to move towards the front of the sanctuary at this time. First, we will honor our past and current presidents, Jay Savell, Josh Cohen, Genevieve Pastor Cohen, Eric Strimling, and Kimberly McVicker. Then we will honor the members of the Temple Israel Foundation Board of Directors. The Foundation Board members who will hold Torahs are Beverly Blatt, Ed Kaufman, Ivan Goldwasser, Skip Soskin, and Genevieve Pastor Cohen. For the third recitation, we will honor members who have provided significant contributions to Temple Israel. This includes Jerry Wagner, Allison Harris, Mike Berkowitz, Daniel Levy, and Dr. Jen Levine. We will begin with introductory verses on page 16. Kol Nidre is on page 18. Please rise in body or spirit. Page 16.
B'shiva shamala, u'b'shiva shamata, al dat hamakom, ve'adat kadko, Anu maturin palel im haravayamim. Anu mati Amin. Vesare Shuvate Vakarame Vakinome Vakinuse Vakenuye. Dindana Uta Ishavana Udacharimna Udachariasana Ana Shatana Miyom Kippurim Zeh Ad Yom Kippurim Abba Aleinu L'tova B'chuhon L'karat Nabahon B'hayon B'yahon Sharon Shrikin Shvitin Betelin Mavutalin Lo Sharirin Below Kayamin Nidrana La Nidre La Nidre Vesarana Lesare Ushavuatana Ushavuot.
And now the foundation board members will for us.
Kol Nidre v'esarei v'shuvei v'charamei v'konomei v'kinusei v'chenu Indana Uda Istavana Uda Akarim Na Uda Akarim Sana Shatana Miyom Kippurim Zeh Al Yom Kippurim Aleinu l'tova b'kohon b'karatna b'hon kol tayon yahon sharon shvikim Shvitim V'te'elin mavu alatalim L'sharirin V'lo kayamin Nirana La Nidre Besarana lo esarei Ushavuatana la Shavuot.
You may be seated. Please join me in English on page 20. All shall be forgiven. The entire community of Israel and the stranger who lives in their midst, for all have gone astray in error. Moses prayed to God, as you have been faithful to this people ever since Egypt, please forgive their failings now, in keeping with your boundless love. And God responded, I forgive as you have asked. We continue with Shema Uverotecha, the Shema and her blessings. First, Cantor Jacobs will call us to attention, and we will respond in the Baruch Hu on page 22. Please rise in body or spirit. You may be seated. We continue in English with Ma'ariv Aravim on page 24. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your great name fills the universe with majestic might. Your word creates twilight and dusk as your wisdom opens the gates of night. Your discernment separates the changing seasons and causes the passage of time. The stars arrayed across the sky reveal your design. You roll out the cycle of darkness and light, shaping day and night. You sweep away day and carry the world into nightfall, setting day apart from nighttime. You are God of all we can perceive and all that is beyond our perception. Living, eternal God, be our sovereign to the end of time. Blessed are you, Adonai, creator of twilight and dusk. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. We continue with Ahavat Olam, declaring God's eternal love for us on page 26.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, ahavta, tova u'mitzvot u'chim u'mishpatim, otanu l'madeta. Akein Adonai Eloheinu, B'shogbeinu v'kumeinu, nasiach behugecha. Nizmach b'divrei Toratecha, u'b'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, v'yorech yameinu, u'behem behegeh yuman v'layla.
We now proclaim our faith in God with the Shema on page 28. Please rise.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
You may be seated. We'll continue with the first and third paragraphs. The Ve'ahavta is on page 30. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלבדך בדרך ובשופך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. We're going to turn to page 36 for the third paragraph of the Shema. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Yisrael amarta alehem ve'asu lahem tzitzit al kanfei b'yehem ledorotam v'natnu al tzitzit hakanaf b'til techelet v'haya lahem letzitzit uritem oto uzchartem et kol mitzvot Adonai ve'asitem otam ve'lo taturu acharei levavchem ve'acharei einechem asher atem zonim achareihem leman tizkeru asitem et kol mitzvotai b'tem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Emet. We continue with Micha Mocha, celebrating our freedom from Egypt that tries to bind us to bad habits on page 40.
Mika mocha v'elim Adonai, Mika mocha me'adam kodesh, Yorot tehilot asefele, Mahutecha u'vadecha, Okei hayam lifnei Moshe v'Miriam, Veli anu v'yamaru Adonai imach le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar yifada Adonai Yaakov u'go'alo miyad chazik memenu Baruch atah Adonai Ba Yisrael. Amen.
We continue with Hashkivenu on page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom. V'hamidenu Malkeinu L'chaim. Uros aleinu Sukat Shalomecha V'tagnenu V'etzah Tova milfanecha V'hoshi'enu L'man Shemecha V'hagen ba'adenu V'yatzer me'aleinu Oyev v'deber ויגון ויגון ועשה שטנו מלפנינו מלפנינו ומאחרינו ובצדק כנפיך ובצדק כנפיך אסירנו כי אל שומרנו מצילנו אתה כי אל מלך הנון ורחום אתה ושמור צאתנו ובוארנו לך יום שלום אתה ועד עולם וברוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום סוכת שלום עלינו סוכת שלום עלינו והכל עמו ישראל ביו ירושלים.
As we celebrate both Shabbat and Yom Kippur today, we continue with Vishamru, declaring the joy inherent in having a day of rest on page 44.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
We conclude this section of our service with a Chatzi Kaddish on page 45.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ויעמד דברי רווחתי וימליק מלכותי בקרי הון וביומי חון וקיית כל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי תקודשה בריחו לעילא ולעילא min kol barakatav shirata, tushbachata, benechamata, udai Roma, vimaru, amen.
The holiness of this day, the Kedushat Hayom, is that it is a day for confession with the hope of God's forgiveness. Ideally, in the days preceding today, we have offered sincere and specific apologies to people whom we have harmed. Though many of our communal confessions reflect interpersonal wrongs, Judaism teaches that God can only forgive us for how our actions and inactions have separated us from the divine. We must ask humans for forgiveness for how we have harmed them. May our standing prayer this evening allow us all to sink into conversation with the divine. The Amidah begins on page 46. Please rise in body or spirit.
Adonai sifatatitak ufi agid l'terotecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Abateinu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibar B'Hanora Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zoker Aseh Avot V'Imahot U'Mevi Gula Lifnei V'neihem L'man Shema B'Yahava Zakrenu L'chaim Melech Hafetz B'chaim V'kodvenu b'sefer ha'chaim V'kodvenu b'sefer ha'chaim L'man ha'Elohim chaim Melech ozer U'mashir u'magen Baruch atah Adonai Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo, Magen Abraham, Be'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mekayeh Metim Atah Rav L'Hoshia. Mechakei Kayim B'chesed, Mechayeh HaKol B'rakamim Rabim, So make Nephilim v'kolim umatir asurim. Emergem emunato lishanei afar. Mikamocha v'rachamim. Zocher yitzurav l'chayim b'ramim. B'nei eman atah l'chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai l'chayei metim.
You may be seated. We continue on page 64. Let us take some time now for personal connection with the divine. How can we make space for the eternal in our lives? Participate in Vidui in the confessional prayer. I pray our hearts are softened enough to accept that we have unintentionally gone astray. Chet, the word used in the long confession, refers to unintentional transgressions. Of course, if we have intentionally done harm, yes, we should reflect, ask forgiveness, repair any harm done, make a plan to never intentionally leave the path of goodness again. Tonight, we sink into all the ways we unintentionally go astray. We know that we are not perfect, and we know that it is impossible to be perfect. Nevertheless, we regret our transgressions. Tonight we will chant the traditional Ashamnu prayer and then read the long confession. Some of us will beat our hearts while we confess. Rabbi Israel Meyer Kagan, known as the Chofetz Chaim, the name of his most widely read book, taught, God does not forgive us when we strike our hearts. Rather, we are forgiven when our heart strikes us. That is, when we feel the pangs of conscience for our wrongdoing. We begin with the Shamnu on page 42. Please rise in body or spirit. On 82, excuse me. Let us continue with the long confession, which can be found on page 86. Please join with me. You deliberately and by mistake in your world through the words of our mouths. By hardening our hearts. Through careless speech. Through lies and deceit. Through gossip and rumor. By judging others unfairly. Through disrespect to parents and teachers. Through insincere apologies. By mistreating a friend or neighbor. Through violence and abuse. Through dishonesty in business. Ve'al kulam Elohai slikot selach lanu v'halanu kaper lanu ve'al kulam Elohai slikot selach lanu v'kalanu openly and secretly, by losing self-control. Through sexual immorality, through consumption of food and drink. By giving into our hostile impulses. Through greed and exploitation. Through cynicism and scorn. Through arrogant behavior. By hating without cause. Through offensive speech. With a slanderous tongue. Through a selfish or petty spirit. Ve'al kulam Elohai slikot selach lanu mechalanu kaper lanu ve'al kulam Elohai slikot selach lanu mechalanu kaper lanu. Now, having completed our confession, we turn to our slicha prayers, our prayers requesting forgiveness. We continue with Shema Kolenu on page 98. Kadesh Yameinu, Yameinu, Kekedem. Tashlikenu
Avenu. Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chuz v'rachem Aleinu Aleinu V'kabel v'rakamim, v'rakamim v'rotzon, et tfilatenu.
We're about to hear the 13 attributes of the divine, also known as God compassionate, El Rahman. By focusing on God's compassionate qualities, we prompt ourselves to focus on our own compassion. Page 100.
You do English first. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'chanun, Emek apayim b'chesed, ve'emet nosei chesed lafim, nosei avon defasha, v'chata'a v'nakea.
You may be seated. Let us continue together on page 104. 104. Our God and God of our fathers, God of our mothers, do not abandon us, leaving us in shame. Do not dissolve the covenant you made with us. Rather, draw us near to your teaching. Show us your ways and teach us how to live. Let us be open to your love, ready to revere your very being. Cut away the hardness of our hearts so that we may return to you with all our heart's devotion, truly repentant. For the sake of your great name, pardon our failures, forgive our moral weakness, as in the holy words of your psalmist, Adonai, as befits your name, forgive my sin, no matter how great. Shabbat Shalom. Tradition tells us that when Yom Kippur coincides with Shabbat, we truly experience the holiest day of the year. Since most Jewish authorities will tell you that Shabbat is the holiest holiday in the Jewish calendar, only an extra special Shabbat could indeed outshine other Shabbats. Another traditional greeting for this particular Shabbat of Yom Kippur is Gemar Chatima Tova. May we be sealed for a good year. Yet, my wholehearted embrace of this sentiment has been wavering during these 10 days of return. I know that we have the power to act righteously and live into goodness. I also know that we East Bay Jews face extraordinary headwinds as we try to co-create a new year. My colleague, Rabbi Mates Munchen of Temple Sinai, Oakland, spoke powerfully on Rosh Hashanah about the terrible anti-Jewish sentiment swirling in public spaces in Oakland over the past year. From school board meetings to city council meetings to graffiti to the destruction of a public menorah, our neighbors have been consistent in showing up to hate us under the cover of political speech. This week, Dara Horn published another powerful essay in the Atlantic magazine. It is titled, October 7th Created a Permission Structure for Anti-Semitism. Those who follow my own writing know that I oppose using the term anti-Semitism because it was created by a Jew hater to put a pseudo-scientific sheen on his hatred. I find plain words to be clearer. Since I'm not a Semite, I'm a Jew. Moving from semantics to the heart of the matter, you don't need a lot of education to understand that anti-Zionism is the newest form of Jew hate. In her Atlantic magazine article, Ms. Horn clearly delineates the history of propaganda to justify Jew hate and how the talking points of today's activists were written by Jew-hating Soviets. I cannot do this work alone. I am committed to standing up for us publicly, yet we are always more effective when we work collectively. Our synagogue needs a rapid response committee, willing to work with me when people challenge our humanity at city council meetings, in public schools, at school board meetings, or other public places. Parents of public school students are highly encouraged to join the Jewish Roundtable of Alameda Unified. If your child is in another school district, please reach out or to join or create a Jewish support group in that district. As Horn says in her recent Atlantic article, we must go beyond the universal messages of the current Holocaust education in public schools. Students need to learn about the particular history of Jews. Not just Jewish children, all children need to understand the long history of Christian and Muslim persecution of their Jewish neighbors. Just as I learned about the Crusades in public school, I should have learned that a majority of the victims of the Crusades were their Jewish neighbors in Europe. In fact, religious and racial persecution of Jews goes back to ancient times, long before Christianity or Islam existed. There are many books and many podcasts that teach Jewish history. That includes the podcast Jew Ought to Know, produced by one of our newest Temple Israel members, Jason Harris. The Shalom Hartman Institute, where another member works, is another resource for understanding the current war and wider concepts within Jewish culture. Yet, I know for sure that if I allow myself to focus solely on the negative attitudes that surround us, my message will fail. We cannot survive simply by being in opposition to our enemies. So allow me to pivot towards the incredibly soul-nourishing possibilities that await us in a uniquely Jewish path. Gemar Chatima Tova. May we be sealed for a good year. May we choose the path of goodness. May we lean into the depths of our tradition so that we all feel like the co-creators of the Jewish future. When we pause before Friday night dinner and light candles or say a blessing over wine, we are Jewish creators. When we make a habit of attending a prayer service, we are Jewish creators. When we read a Jewish book, we are Jewish creators. When we add Jewish content creators to our podcast feed or our Instagram feed, we are Jewish creators. When we decide to seek wisdom within the Jewish canon, we are Jewish creators. There is so much we could do together as a spiritual community in the coming year to live into goodness. There are opportunities every day to study Jewish topics through online resources. Many classes take place over Zoom, and together we'll find the right rhythm for expanding the programming at Temple Israel. One of the most revelatory Yom Kippur experiences I had was as a congregant. There was a core group of people who stayed together throughout the day on Yom Kippur, both in services and during teaching sessions. As the day moved toward the evening, more celebratory experiences arose. There was a Jewish music interlude. The Ne'ilah service culminated in a Jewish hootenanny. Yes, there are very solemn aspects of Yom Kippur, including the tempo of the Kol Nidre legal proceedings and the experience of Yizkor. In my understanding, if we stay in solemnity, we are focusing on the death side of this holy day. One of the reasons to abstain from food on Yom Kippur is to imagine we are dying and focusing like angels on holy words and important ideas. And as the day progresses, we are being reborn. Truly, with each breath, we have the opportunity to start again. And at least once a year, on this holy day, we ritually choose rebirth. We choose life, a life directed by core values, a life committed to taking ourselves and the people around us seriously. It is such a relief that I do not have to remain burdened by the weight of all that happened in the previous year, not just globally, but personally. I can choose to live joyously into the blessings that surround me each day. How lucky I am that both of my children still enjoy hugging me, including a middle schooler. How happy I am that they still take my advice seriously, that they aren't actually trying to be rude, they're just testing out the humor that the internet is teaching them. Sometimes it's hard to remember our children's innocence when we pause and remember that kids' mistakes aren't reflections of parents' egos. Our responses tend to be better. When I remember that my experience of my body should not affect how I speak to my beloved family, we all have better days. What key learnings from last year are you bringing into 5785? And how can we make time for collective, in-person experiences that nourish our souls? Some of us have been gathering at 10 a.m. on Sundays during September. It has been particularly gratifying to use poetry as an entry point into our individual and collective consciousness. We also have opportunities for more detailed study. The Temple Israel Book Club is meeting on October 28th to discuss Rabbi Lawrence Kushner's book, Kabbalah, A Love Story. What area of Jewish knowledge are you most interested in? Would you like to know more about our history? Both Plato and Aristotle found entry points in our philosophy. Beyond nationalism, at the turn of the 20th century, many people became cultural Zionists because of the writings of Echad Ha'am, a pen name that means one of the people. His essays are so deeply moving, and I would love to study them with you. It is vital that we make space for our own depths, that we keep breathing and keep living. This past year taught me a deep lesson. It is more important for me to stay centered and stay connected to Judaism than it is for me to be connected to the world. I have a personal theory about Judaism that has not been pursued widely. In most descriptions of rabbinic Judaism, that's the type of Judaism we practice without temple sacrifice, knowledge is divided into two types: halakha, Jewish law, and agadah, everything else. That's honestly how it was described in my Talmud classes. Yet even Wikipedia knows that agadah derives from the Jewish Aramaic word agadta, which means tales, fairy tales, lore. Through our stories, we come alive. Fiction is as important as nonfiction. Through fiction, through agadah, we learn how to interact with other people, how to confront moral dilemmas, what to do when a king invites us to meet. Spoiler alert, the king is usually a stand-in for the Holy One. Though frankly, I don't see rabbinic Judaism through the lens of halakha and everything else. I see a three-legged stool. Yes, halakha is there, but if we were really talking about Jewish law, it would be called mishpatim. Or if we were to label the laws we just can't logically explain, we'd call them chukim. Halakha is the way. The way of being Jewish is not limited to the law books from the Middle Ages. We can write the way with every day that we live. Defining the way takes discernment. We can explore it through the two other important markers of Jewish life: Musar, Jewish ethics, and Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism. Musar is a word that can be found in our Bible 51 times and connotes ethical instruction. This type of knowledge is also referred to as derech eretz, the way of the world. It is about how we interact with ourselves, with the people and world around us, and with the divine. Mysticism might sound too out there for a modern, rational brain. Perhaps others who have invited you to consider mystical approaches did not attempt to explain it rationally. My original teacher of Jewish mysticism, Rabbi Mordechai Finley, is extremely rational. So I tend to approach introducing this realm of Jewish knowledge rationally as well. Joseph Dan wrote a short book called Jewish Mysticism and Jewish Ethics. Dan describes mysticism in the book as Jewish mysticism, like any other mysticism, is based on the deep religious belief that divine truth can be neither found nor expressed in worldly terms. Divine truth lies in a mystical realm completely hidden from human senses and rationalistic analysis. So, at some point, mysticism does divert from rationalism. Yet we can describe the history of Jewish encounters with the divine realm rationally. And we can begin to lay out a framework for engaging Jewish mysticism rationally. Ultimately, mysticism must be part of my Judaism because it seeks towards a relationship with the divine. If my desire was simply how to live a good life, I might have studied depth psychology or positive psychology. Instead, I wanted to live into my soul's journey and support the journeys of other souls around me. Yet I also can't speak to you without acknowledging all that we have been through in the past year. I learned recently that some of our Jewish neighbors avoid attending events at synagogues because they fear being targeted as Jews. I can't pretend that there's no truth behind their fear. Ever since the Tree of Life shooting, I've realized that my career choice puts myself and my family in danger. Yet I think that Jewish space is worth it. Jewish knowledge is incredibly soul-nourishing. The way I walk in Judaism is not about detailed rules. Yes, ritual practice helps me connect to the tradition. Yet I am deeply compelled by Martin Buber's description of law. Chaim Potok quoted Buber in his 1966 essay for Commentary magazine. Buber said, "For me, though man is a law receiver, God is not a law giver, and therefore the law has no universal validity for me, but only a personal one. I accept, therefore, only what I think is being spoken to me, e.g., the older I become and the more I realize the restlessness of my soul, the more I accept for myself the day of rest." This describes how I understand the creation of Jewish law. Jewish men decided that legislation was needed to fortify a system built around their philosophical discussions in the shadow of the destroyed temple. I am no less a religious person than those who follow halakha precisely. Rather, I choose to drink from different pools of Jewish knowledge. In this coming year, I pray that we can explore Jewish wisdom together. I pray that we can set aside our bad experiences of religious institutions, if you've had any. I pray that we will all have the courage to move beyond pain and fear. I pray that we will live into our Jewish souls this year, renewing our commitment to ourselves, to our spiritual community, and to the wider world. Shabbat Shalom, Gemar Chatima Tova. May we seal ourselves into a good year. Our service continues with We Are Your People, Ki Anu Amecha, on page 106.
Anu Gdotzecha v'yatoraenu. Anu karmecha v'yatanodreinu. Anu yatecha v'yatadaenu.
We warmly welcome Bruce Stoffmacher and Shelley Rosenfeld to the Bima to open the ark for Avinu Malkeinu on page 114. Please rise in body or spirit. 114.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Atonu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Kamol Aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kol Nidre, V'cherev Rav, Me'anenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kalei Kotzor, Umastin, Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Kodleinu, B'sefer Chaim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, Kadesh Aleinu, Kadesh Aleinu, Shana Torah. Avinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Arem, Arem, Keren, Yisrael Amecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Tonenu Vanenu, Ki ein banu masim, Asei manu, Tzedaka v'chesed, B'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu.
And now could you please join me in the congregation of Avinu Malkeinu?
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Vanenu, Avinu Malkeinu, Vanenu Vanenu, Elamanu Nasi, Asei Manu, Tzedaka v'chesed, Asei Manu, Tzedaka v'chesed, Ne'oshienu. Asei Manu, Tzedaka v'chesed, Asei Manu, Tzedaka v'chesed, Ne'oshienu.
You may be seated. We welcome Temple Israel's president, Kimberly McVicker, to the Torah table to speak with us.
Shabbat Shalom. Okay. Well, since I was sick for Rosh Hashanah, it's extra nice to see everybody this time. Thank you for being here. I think he's turning it up, or should I? Is that better? Yes. Thank you, Jordan. As we gather together after a very stressful year, I am grateful you are here. Thank you for choosing Temple Israel. This season, we are reminded of the strength, beauty, and warmth of a community, and the incredible power of just having a community to count on. Now, I have a feeling that we are all very thankful that 5784 is in our rearview mirror. I, for one, am very much looking forward to this new year. 5784 was a hard year, an emotional year, no question. As that year was beginning, I was in the initial months of being a new congregational president on a massive learning curve, trying to wrap my head around a host of topics when the Hamas attack happened. I was already overwhelmed, behind, unsure of myself as a leader when our world went upside down. This past year, I was regularly reminded that Temple Israel is more than a place of worship or a place for Jewish education. It is our second home, a refuge and comfort for many who will always need our support to continue to exist. A place last October where strangers entered our building for the first time to be with a Jewish community they probably didn't know existed or knew that they needed before that moment. Thanks to many of us here tonight, Temple Israel was here for all who needed these protective walls like a gentle hug. Tonight I want to begin by talking about what has been deeply important in my life and the lives of so many of my friends here. It's about the community of Temple Israel, about belonging, about the power of membership in this Jewish nonprofit. And yes, Temple Israel is a nonprofit, which is why we regularly need to ask for financial support, need members and volunteers like so many other nonprofits. I acknowledge that for many, the idea of becoming a synagogue member can be financially challenging or something old school that only our parents or grandparents did. Certainly not something on everyone's bingo card these days. So my pitch tonight is an invitation to be or stay a member. Don't get hung up thinking that there's some large dollar amount that you think you need to put on that membership form to belong here. It's really not about the money. It's about you and meeting you where you are today. And here's an example. Before my husband and I married in 2007, we joined. It would be the first time I had my own temple membership, not my grandparents. At the time, Temple Israel had fixed annual dues that everyone paid. If a household couldn't cover that, they asked for dues relief. No surprise, that was embarrassing for many, and some did not join or renew to avoid having to ask for relief. Thankfully, that's not how we roll anymore, and our dues are voluntary, because households just have different financial obligations and priorities. Knowing that we had a wedding to pay for, we're trying to save for a house and start a family, we asked for dues relief back then and donated $250. Over the years, we steadily donated more, especially after we were done paying for preschool. We never felt like we were a charity case, and you shouldn't either. We were members, period. And that would be the same for you. Becoming or staying a part of this community is more than your dues contribution. It's your connection to the people who get you and who are here for you. It's more than a place to visit once a year or drop your kids off at the curb for Jewish education. We really are your support system, your network of lifelong friends that are here for each other. If I haven't convinced you enough in my limited time, the value of membership is not measured in dollars, but through your ideas, your passion and skill set, your leadership, and your participation. And as dorky as it sounds, it really is a mitzvah being a part of this community. I really missed not seeing you all last week when I was sick. Seeing the joy on a toddler's face during Tot Shabbat, knowing my dues helped fund that gathering, is priceless. Having a place to go to say Kaddish, or helping a friend through a challenge, or seeing the pride in their face during their child's B'nai Mitzvah are member benefits we don't often think of. Temple Israel has been here for me time and time again, and I will always be grateful. It is here for you too, if you open your heart. At this time of year, people often think about making a financial gift to a congregation. So ask yourself, what can I give? And go for it. It might include giving your time to post flyers around town for next month's holiday fast, making hamantashen at Purim, fix a broken item, or volunteer on a committee. If you are not already a member, I again extend this invitation to you. Become a part of our humble, tight-knit community, because this is where you belong. Do Jewish with us. The form's on the website. Please do not let a dues amount in your head hold you back from what you need. You are worth it, and you are wanted here. One reason I am looking forward to this new year is that it will include Temple Israel's 105th anniversary. Don't miss out. We were incorporated in 1920, and COVID denied us the opportunity to celebrate our centennial in 2020, so we're making up for lost time. Maintaining a Jewish community for over 100 years through wars, recessions and depressions, pandemics, Jew hate and vandalism, and so on, is remarkable, and we deserve to celebrate our resilience. We'll be rolling out a series of events and gatherings during 2025, including a big party in May. Think about how you would like to participate and jump in. Become an event sponsor, help publicize our story, be a greeter, and invite your friends. We have the power to ensure that Temple Israel is here for at least another 100 years if we make the investment today. So let's work together so Temple Israel is here for the people who will walk through the door after us. Donate to support the children who will enroll in school after your children have graduated. However you are able to support this community just might be among the most rewarding things you ever do. So Shabbat Shalom, thank you for being here, and let's have a great year. Thank you, Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much, Kimberly. We now welcome Yaniv Sherman and Evan Akron to the Bima to open the Ark for the Aleinu. The Aleinu begins on page 116. That's 116. Please rise in body or spirit.
Hallel Shebeach Le'adon HaKol L'tein Gedula L'yotzer Bereshit Shelo Asanu K'guyei Haratzot V'lo Samanu Mishpachot Adama Shelo Samkalkeinu Kahem Karol Aleinu Kakol Hamonam V'nahnu Korim U'mishlatavim u'modim B'nei melech Ma'pei Havatim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
And we continue silently until page 118, where we will say B'nai Amar together.
You may be seated. As it is both Shabbat and Yom Kippur, I will read the names of those whose passing we are remembering this week. In the last year, we are remembering Yossi Kuzu, Lee Soskin, Henry Saunders McCoy Jr., Karen Orgozalek, Lynn Sung Shostak, Linda Minster, Bruce King, Karen Bell, Phyllis First, Marshall Minster, Kenneth Kaufman, Mark Klein, Dick Levine, Barbara Choate, Carol Foreman, Scarlett Lehman, and Brian James Newberg. Are there any others who passed in the last year that we are remembering?
Marvin Harris.
Thank you.
Glenn Miller.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes. Thank you. Our hearts join those who are mourning the loss of loved ones at this season in years past. Our Yortzites that we are remembering this week are Joseph Schwartz, Oliver Hess, Sally Zingarelli, Sidney Hertz, Arthur Gold, Jeanette Wagner, Minnie Davidson, Angelita Korkos, Lily Mekshi, Nizar Michael, Irving Silberberg, Dorothy Lutz, Melvin Crosby, Moishe Ben Nissan, and Mendel Bas Leib. Are there any other Yartzites this week that we are remembering? Thank you. If you are in a time of mourning or observing a Yartzeit, please rise. And if it is your custom to rise on behalf of those who do not have someone to say the Kaddish for them, please do so. Kaddish Yatom can be found on page 122. Yit Gadal, Yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma Divrach Hirutei, Be'amlik Malchutei, V'chayehon, V'yomechon, V'yotei, Kol Israel, V'agalah, V'zman Kareem, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Barak Le'olam Olamei Almaya Yibarach V'Yishtabach V'Pa'ar V'Tromam V'Naseh V'Tadar V'Taleh V'Talal Shmei D'Kudusha B'Richu Le'ela Ule'ela Mikol Berchata V'Shirata Tush V'Chata V'Nechemata Damiram V'Alma V'Imru Amen. Yehi Shmama Rabbah V'Yishmayim Kol Yisrael v'Yimru Amen. Oseh Shalom b'Roma, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu v'al Kol Yisrael v'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel v'Yimru Amen. Thank you for davening with us. We look forward to seeing you at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Because we are not concluding the day, we are continuing the day in the morning, is why we don't have an outgoing prayer. Mishnah Tova.
Chris, not tonight. We are? I thought you said we weren't.